I'm 79 years old, and I need to tell you something that might save your life, not your physical life. Something more important than that, the life inside you, the one you're slowly suffocating with every safe choice you make. For 55 years, I've carried a secret that has eaten away at me like rust on iron, slow, steady, relentless. I let the love of my life walk away. And I've spent every day since wondering what would have happened if I'd been brave enough to run after her. Her name was Eleanor. She had these eyes that seemed to see right through every wall I'd ever built, brown with flecks of gold that caught the light when she laughed. And she laughed often. At least she did back then. Before I broke her heart, before I broke my own. I'm not here to tell you a love story. This isn't a romance. This is a warning, a confession, a desperate attempt to reach across the years and grab you by the shoulders and shake you until you understand what I didn't understand until it was far, far too late. You think you have time. You don't. You think the safe choice is the smart choice. It isn't. You think you can always go back and fix things later. You can't. I know because I've lived it. 55 years of living with the consequences of one cowardly decision made by a 24-year-old boy who was too scared to disappoint his father. Something happened to me last year that changed everything. Something that finally made me understand what I'd done to myself, what I'd done to her, what I'd done to the life we could have had together. If you're listening to this and something inside you is already stirring, some buried truth you've been avoiding, then this story is for you. Keep listening. Your future self is begging you to. Last year I had a stroke. I was 78 years old, sitting in my study reading the newspaper like I did every morning, coffee getting cold beside me, silence all around. And then the left side of my face went numb. I remember thinking, very calmly, so this is how it ends. They tell me I was unconscious for 6 hours. When I woke up in the hospital, there were tubes everywhere, machines beeping, fluorescent lights humming above me like angry insects. My daughter was there, Patricia. She'd flown in from Seattle. She was holding my hand and crying, and I remember thinking how strange it was to see her cry. She's not a crier, never has been. My son wasn't there. He lives in the same city as me, but he wasn't there. We haven't spoken properly in 8 years. That's a different story. Another regret for another day. The doctors said I was lucky to be alive. Lucky the damage wasn't worse. Lucky. But lying in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling tiles, I didn't feel lucky. I felt cheated, not by death, by life. By all the life I hadn't lived, by all the years I'd wasted being safe and sensible and responsible. They keep you in the hospital for observation after a stroke, days of lying there with nothing to do but think. And when you've lived 78 years, there's a lot to think about. That's when she came back to me, Eleanor. I hadn't let myself think about her properly in decades. I'd trained myself not to. Every time her face would drift into my mind, I'd push it away, distract myself, bury it deeper. But lying in that hospital bed, too weak to fight anymore, I let myself remember. And I wept, not the silent tears of an old man. I wept like a child, great heaving sobs that made the nurses come running. They thought something was wrong medically. They couldn't understand that something was wrong spiritually. That something had been wrong for 55 years. I was crying for Eleanor. I was crying for the life we should have had. I was crying for the coward I'd been at 24, who made a decision that would haunt him until his dying day. And in that moment I made a vow. If I survived this, if I got out of this hospital, I would tell my story. I would warn others. I would try to save at least one person from making the same terrible mistake. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you. Let me tell you about Eleanor. We met in the summer of 1969. I was 24, fresh out of law school, working as a junior associate at my father's firm. She was 22, working as a secretary at the publishing house down the street. We met at a coffee shop. She was reading Hemingway. I made some pretentious comment about the sun also rises. She laughed at me, actually laughed, told me I'd completely missed the point of the book. No one had ever laughed at me like that, not with cruelty, with recognition. Like she could see exactly who I was trying to be and who I actually was, and she found the gap amusing. We talked for 3 hours that first day. Missed my afternoon meetings entirely. My father was furious. I didn't care. For the next 8 months, Eleanor was my entire world. We'd meet every lunch hour, walk through the park, talk about everything and nothing. She wanted to be a writer, had a novel she was working on. Pages she'd read to me on Sunday afternoons in her tiny apartment that smelled like lavender and old books. She made me feel alive. For the first time in my carefully controlled existence, I felt like I was actually living instead of just performing the role of someone living. But there was a problem. My father had plans for me, a path already carved, junior associate, then senior associate, then partner, a merger eventually with the Harrison firm. And with the merger came a condition, an expectation, Catherine Harrison. She was everything my father wanted for me. Proper family, proper background, proper everything, the kind of woman who would throw the right dinner parties and say the right things at the right functions and produce the right grandchildren. I didn't love her. I'm not sure I even liked her. But she was safe, expected, approved. When my father discovered Eleanor, when someone told him I was spending my lunch hours with a secretary for God's sake, he called me into his study. I remember exactly what he said. You can have your little adventure, but when it's time to be serious, you'll do the right thing. You'll marry Catherine, or you'll be no son of mine. I was 24 years old. I was afraid. And so when Eleanor asked me where this was going, when she looked at me with those golden brown eyes and asked if I saw a future for us, I told her the truth. I told her I couldn't. I told her my father would never approve. I told her I was sorry. She didn't cry, not in front of me. She just went very still, very quiet. And then she said 5 words that have echoed in my head every single day since. You're going to regret this. She was right. I married Catherine 3 months later. We were married for 51 years. She died 4 years ago. Cancer. And I'm ashamed to tell you this, but when she died, I felt the same thing I felt when my father died. Nothing. Just a kind of numb relief, because our marriage was never a marriage. It was an arrangement, a business partnership. 2 people living parallel lives in the same house, never quite touching. I thought at 30, when things would get easier, when I'd made partner, then I could find happiness. I made partner. Nothing changed. At 40, I thought when the children were older, then Catherine and I would grow closer. The children got older. We grew further apart. At 50, I thought maybe this is just what marriage is. Maybe everyone is this unhappy. Maybe I was foolish to expect more, so I stayed again. At 60, I stopped hoping for anything to change. I just endured. And all the while, somewhere in the back of my mind, Eleanor was there. A ghost, a question, a road not taken. I had the career my father wanted. I had the wife he approved of. I had the house, the cars, the club memberships. I had everything that was supposed to matter, and I had nothing that actually did. Let me tell you about the lies that kept me prisoner. Maybe you're believing some of them right now. Maybe you're using them as excuses the way I did. Maybe you're so deep inside them you don't even recognize them as lies anymore. The first lie, a good son obeys his father. My father has been dead for 27 years, and I'm still living the life he chose for me. I'm 79 years old, and I never stopped being that scared 24-year-old in his study, desperate for approval that was never going to come anyway. Here's what I know now. Your parents' dreams for you are not your destiny. Their fears are not your obligations. You can love them and still choose yourself. You can honor them and still live your own life. I didn't understand that at 24. I didn't understand it at 44 or 54 or 64. I understand it now. Too late. The second lie. Love is a luxury. Security is what matters. My father told me this. Society told me this. Every sensible person I knew told me this. Choose the practical option. Choose the stable option. Choose the option that looks good on paper. But here's what no one tells you about choosing security over love. Security without love is just a comfortable prison. You can have all the money in the world, all the status, all the approval, and still wake up every morning feeling like you're slowly dying inside. I know. I lived it for 55 years. The safe choice is not the smart choice. The safe choice is the choice that kills you so slowly you don't notice until it's too late. The third lie, you'll get over it. When I let Eleanor go, I told myself I'd get over her, that the feelings would fade, that time would heal everything. I'm 79 years old. I never got over her. The feelings didn't fade. They fossilized, became part of me. Every single day for 55 years, I have thought about her, wondered about her, regretted her. You don't get over the love of your life. You just get better at pretending. The fourth lie, it's too late to change. I told myself this at every decade marker. At 35, too late. I have a wife now, a mortgage, a career path. At 45, definitely too late. Children to raise, responsibilities. At 55, impossible. What would people think? At 65, absurd. I'm an old man now. And now I'm 79. I've had a stroke. My body is failing. My time is almost up. And I'm telling you, it wasn't too late. It was never too late. Not at 35, not at 45, not at 65. I could have left Catherine. I could have found Eleanor. I could have started over. People do it every day. People with less money, less resources, less freedom than I had. I just didn't have the courage. Don't let fear convince you it's too late. That's just cowardice wearing a disguise. You want to know what haunts me? It's not the big picture, not the general sense of a life poorly lived. It's the specific moments, the precise memories, the things I can see so clearly they might as well be happening right now. The letter I never mailed. 6 months after I married Catherine, I wrote Eleanor a letter, 12 pages, poured my heart out, told her I'd made a terrible mistake, begged her to wait for me while I figured out how to fix things. I sealed it, addressed it, carried it in my briefcase for 3 weeks. I never mailed it. I burned it instead in the fireplace of my new house, while Catherine slept upstairs, oblivious. I've written that letter 1,000 times in my head since then. Never mailed any of them. The phone call I didn't make. In 1985, I heard through mutual acquaintances that Eleanor was living in Boston, teaching at a university, never married. I picked up the phone at least 12 times that year, dialed the first 6 digits of the university's main number, hung up every time. What would I have said? What could I have said? Hello, it's the coward who broke your heart 15 years ago. So I said nothing. The trip I canceled. In 1992, I had a business conference in Boston, 3 days. I knew Eleanor was still there. I even looked up the address of her university, planned to walk by, maybe catch a glimpse, maybe find the courage to knock on her office door. I canceled the trip, told my partners something came up, couldn't do it, couldn't face her, couldn't face myself. The book I never finished. Eleanor used to encourage me to write, said I had a voice, a perspective, said I was wasting myself on legal briefs and contract negotiations. I started a novel once, Secret, hidden in my desk drawer at the office. 147 pages about a man who makes all the wrong choices and spends his life trying to make them right. Catherine found it, asked what it was. I told her it was nothing, threw it away that night, never wrote another word, the words I never said. My son Richard asked me once if I was happy. He was 14. We were driving somewhere, I can't remember where. He said, "Dad, are you happy? Like really happy?" I should have told him the truth. I should have said, "No, I made choices I regret. I want better for you. I want you to be brave where I was a coward." Instead, I said, "Of course I'm happy. I have everything a man could want." He's 52 now, on his 3rd marriage, chasing something he can't name, making the same mistakes I made because I never taught him any different. That's on me. That's my fault. and I can never take it back. After my stroke, something shifted. I was too close to death to keep lying, too tired to keep pretending. The walls I'd built around my heart for 55 years just crumbled. I started being honest. For the first time in my life, I started telling the truth. I told my daughter about Eleanor, the whole story. She cried. Then she hugged me. Then she asked why I'd never told her before. I didn't have a good answer. I wrote to my son, a real letter, not email, paper and ink. I told him I hadn't been a good father. I told him I'd taught him all the wrong lessons. I told him it wasn't too late for him to choose differently. He hasn't responded yet, but I said it. I finally said it. I tracked down Eleanor. It took 3 months. She moved from Boston to Maine in 2015, retired from teaching, living in a small house by the ocean. I wrote her a letter, not asking for anything, not hoping for a second chance, just apologizing, explaining, telling her she was right all those years ago when she said I'd regret it. She wrote back, 1 paragraph. I forgave you a long time ago. I hope you can forgive yourself. It sounds like you've been punishing yourself long enough. I cried for an hour after reading that. I'm trying to take her advice, trying to forgive myself. Some days it's easier than others. I'm 79 years old now. I've been living honestly for exactly 1 year. 1 year out of 79. 1 year of truth after 55 years of lies. And you know what? This 1 year has been worth more than all the others combined. I sleep better. I breathe easier. I look in the mirror and finally recognize the man looking back at me. I'm dying. I know that. The stroke was a warning. The next one might be the end, but I'm dying free. And that matters more than I can tell you. Now I need to talk to you directly. You, the person listening to this right now, in your car, on your headphones, wherever you are. I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly, not to me, to yourself. Are you living someone else's life? Are you making choices based on what's expected instead of what you want? Are you with someone because they're safe, not because they make you feel alive? Are you in a career because your parents approved, not because it fulfills you? Are you slowly suffocating and calling it stability? I know those lies. I told them to myself for 55 years. And I'm here to tell you from the other side, from the place where time is almost up, the safe choice is not worth it. It's not worth the decades of emptiness. It's not worth the 2 a.m. regrets. It's not worth the quiet desperation that becomes so familiar you forget it's not normal. Let me ask you something else. If you died tomorrow, suddenly without warning in your sleep tonight, would you be satisfied with the life you've lived? Not whether your resume is impressive. Not whether people would say nice things at your funeral. Not whether you checked all the boxes you were supposed to check. Would you be at peace? Would you think, yes, I lived, I really lived? Or would you think about the letter you never sent? The phone call you never made? The love you never let yourself feel? The life you never let yourself live? I know what you're thinking. But I have responsibilities. But people are depending on me. But it's complicated. I thought all those things too. For 55 years, I hid behind them. But here's the truth. You can honor your responsibilities and still be honest about what you need. You can take care of others and still take care of yourself. You can be a good person and still choose your own life. Don't be me. Don't be 79 years old, recovering from a stroke, looking back at 55 years of lies. Don't wait until it's almost too late to tell the truth. If I could go back and talk to my 24-year-old self, here's what I would tell him. Stop. Stop seeking your father's approval. He's not capable of giving it. And even if he was, it's not worth what you're trading for it. Stop confusing fear with wisdom. Just because something scares you doesn't mean it's wrong. Stop believing that love is a luxury. Love is the only thing that actually matters. Everything else is just decoration. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There's only now and the courage to act. Stop telling yourself it's too late. It's never too late until you're dead, and you're not dead yet. Start. Start listening to your heart, that voice you keep ignoring. It knows the truth. It's been trying to tell you for years. Start having the hard conversations, the ones that terrify you. They're terrifying because they matter. Start choosing love over security. Choose the person who makes you feel alive over the person who makes you feel safe. Start living for yourself, not your parents, not your spouse, not society, yourself. Start right now. If you're with the wrong person, leave. I know that's hard. I know there are complications, children, finances, history. But listen to me. I stayed for 51 years. 51 years with someone I didn't love. And the only thing I got from that sacrifice was regret. You can leave kindly, honestly, without cruelty. But leave. Don't spend 51 years in a comfortable prison. If you gave up the right person, find them. I don't care how long it's been. I don't care how complicated it is. Find them. Write to them. Tell them the truth. Maybe it's too late for romance. Maybe they've moved on. Maybe all you'll get is closure. But at least you'll know. At least you won't spend the rest of your life wondering. If you're living your parents' dream instead of your own, wake up. Your parents are not going to live your life for you. They're not going to lie in your deathbed and feel your regrets. You are. You can love them and still choose yourself. You can honor them and still be free. I'm 79 years old. I've been living honestly for 1 year. 1 year out of 79. Do you understand how absurd that is? How tragic? 78 years of lies, of hiding, of being someone I wasn't. And then one stroke, one brush with death, and suddenly I found the courage I'd been lacking my entire life. This 1 year has been the best year of my life, not because it's been easy. It hasn't. Facing the truth is hard. Looking at all the wasted years is hard. Writing to Eleanor, writing to my son, admitting my failures, all of it was hard. But it was honest. And honest, even when it's painful, is better than comfortable lies. I would give anything, to have those 55 years back, to have been brave at 24 instead of 78, to have chosen Eleanor, to have told my father no, to have lived my own life instead of the life he planned for me. But I can't go back. None of us can. What I can do is tell you my story, and hope that somewhere in it you see yourself, and hope that seeing yourself makes you brave enough to choose differently. The irony is beautiful and terrible. When you finally understand that time is running out, you start to actually live. You stop wasting the days. You stop postponing the truth. You stop waiting for someday, but you only understand that when time is almost gone. I'm trying to give you at 30 or 40 or 50 what I didn't learn until 78. Time is the only thing you can't get back. Don't waste it being someone you're not. Don't waste it with people who don't light you up. Don't waste it waiting for permission that no one is ever going to give you. You have a choice right now, today. This moment. You can keep living the way you've been living. Keep choosing safe over alive. Keep waiting for someday. Keep telling yourself you have time. You don't have time. None of us do. You can be 79 years old and recovering from a stroke and full of regret, or you can change now, today, before it's too late. I'm begging you, don't be me. Don't let fear make your choices. Don't let other people's expectations become your prison. Don't spend 55 years wondering what if. Choose love. Choose yourself. Choose to live before you run out of time to live. The permission is granted. I'm giving it to you right now. Whatever you've been waiting for, whatever you've been putting off, whatever truth you've been avoiding, do it. Say it. Live it. Now. Before now becomes never. Someday is today. It always has been. If this story meant something to you, I hope you'll share it. Not for me. I'm 79 years old. I don't need views or subscribers or any of that. But somewhere out there, right now, someone is making the same mistake I made, choosing safe over alive, letting the love of their life walk away, living someone else's dream. Maybe this story reaches them. Maybe it changes something. Maybe it saves them 55 years of regret. That's why I'm here. That's why I told you all of this. Subscribe if you want to hear more. I have other truths to tell, and I'm not sure how much time I have left to tell them. Leave a comment. Tell me your story. Tell me what you're going to do differently. I read every single one. I'm 79 years old. Reading comments is one of my great pleasures now. Thank you for listening. Your time is precious, the most precious thing you have. Thank you for spending some of it with me. Now go, live while you still can.